So good morning, everybody. My name's Neal Potter. I'm the Regional General Manager for our small and medium business at Microsoft in the West region. Kind of interesting flying in from Seattle last night. I don't think it's very often we get to say that I left Seattle at 65 degrees and mainly sunny skies and arrived in Las Vegas at 55 degrees and hail. So that was an interesting experience. But super thrilled to be here to talk with you today. I always like to put things in context of SMB as well too, and this is a little bit of a, there we go. Sorry. A little bit of business trends we see. I mean, when we talk about the economy, geopolitics, that kind of sounds like a broad global economy and not always necessarily appropriate for SMB. Just general comments on the economy. The observations that I have is it still continues to be mixed, right? Cautious optimism that's out there. We're certainly seeing it in our results as well, too. Geopolitics is interesting in terms of a little bit of the conversation before relative to the cloud, right? If we put it, instead of thinking a broad global, some of the things that are happening with the cloud is it is allowing you to look at different opportunities, different markets that weren't necessarily geographically based as they are today. We've got lots of examples of partners that are expanding their reach with their customers by utilizing the cloud to get outside of their traditional customer base. And when I think of SMB and I think of geopolitics, I think those are some of the things that get impacted. Multi-channel. The channel continues to grow and change and evolve, and we have to evolve with it. And I think one of the other big trends that we're seeing as well too, and this is really driven by cloud computing as well too, is customer feedback and knowledge. Your continuous feedback to us is important in the way that we shape our products. In the old ways, our traditional model used to be, we'd release a product and then the R&D and the product teams would get hard at work, and somewhere in the 3 to 4 year range, boom, we'd have another new product out there. The cloud has brought on a whole new innovation in where we're providing updates in 3 to 6 month cycles. And your continuous feedback allows us to to listen that way and react that way and deliver new solutions out for you as well too. And it's even had a broad impact on our product teams as well too. The way that they look at developing on-premise software has changed because of those mechanisms, and those are some of the trends that we're seeing broadly that are happening in the business. When you look at the core areas that we're investing on relative to technology, there's 8 different technology trends that we see, and I'm going to kind of walk through them clockwise and talk about them clockwise. We're going to talk a little bit more about cloud computing a little bit later on in this presentation, so I'm not going to touch too much on it other than really, if you look at it, is the direction of the company. Data explosion, right? A lot of people say, well, data explosion, the unstructured data, the use of unstructured data really isn't an SMB opportunity. We're actually starting to see that it is, right? Because all businesses have unstructured data, and no matter what their size is, the ability to capture and utilize that data is of benefit to them and their businesses as well too. So we don't have to necessarily think of the terabytes and the Hadoop databases and the like for that to be true. In the SMB business, data explosion, to be able to capture that data and utilize that data is just important to a small and medium businesses as it is to an enterprise business. Social computing is becoming something that is every day. I mean, a lot of our small and medium business customers use social networks to be able to be marketers for them, right? They connect to Facebook. They connect to the different social capabilities out there as marketing vehicles. But they're also leveraging technology. They're leveraging technology in terms of how they use social technology to interact with end customers, to interact with vendors, to interact with the constituents that are important to their business. And Microsoft definitely views it as important in terms of both areas that we develop software, potentially acquire software, like our recent announcement of Yammer and Skype, and make sure that we're listening to what our customers are looking for in the area of social computing, both tying to it, having great integration and connection to the social capabilities that are out there, as well as providing social capabilities ourselves into the market as well too. Natural interaction. I mean, who doesn't touch something anymore? Right? I mean, the whole advent of the different technology out there and the natural interfaces that are out there are becoming more and more important in the way people work. And we recognize that. I mean, this was a passion of Bill Gates's. I started 12 years ago, and I remember it was Miami Beach, and Bill was talking about natural interaction and what the world was going to mean in terms of natural interaction 12 years ago at my first Microsoft conference. You know, an interesting side note, you could say, relative to Skype, the other thing that he actually demoed for us at that Miami Beach conference 12 years ago, which is essentially what Link is today. So he demoed unified communications, or Link Skype type of capabilities 12 years ago today, and look how much that's inbred into our social worlds, both in our personal lives and our business lives as well too. Machine learning, right? Machines are collecting data all the time, but they're also becoming learning machines. You look at kind of the search engines, right? What we're trying to do with Bing. It's not just about search, but it is connecting, right? And here's a great example of looking at machine learning and trying to present information, right? Trying to present information in a way that you can use it. Our investments in our SQL database, more and more of it, it's instantaneously giving you potential information based on information that it already knows. Machine learning is something that's becoming more and more part of where we're investing because we think we can drive great outcomes for our customer. The world of ubiquitous connectivity means we have to be thinking about how people are going to interact with devices, how people are going to interact with software in the sense that they're always connected. And what does that mean for technology trends in the future and the solutions and the products that we bring to market? Consumerization of IT. I know that, in this particular audience, there's still, some people that say, well, that's a problem. Right? But we have to be thinking about it because more and more and more, the people that go to work, they have their personal applications and they have their business applications. And there's definitely a difference between the two. But they want to be able to interact with them on things like the same device. Right? They want to be able to have access to them. They're constantly, ubiquitous connectivity gives constant connection. Right? The lines are blurring between the way you personally interact with your devices and the way you interact in a business environment with your devices. There's times that you're in a business environment that you're going to a personal application to actually get information that you use in a business context, right? And we have to recognize that. We have to make sure that we're thinking about it first and foremost to provide great solutions that are secure, managed in the business world, but at the same time leverage the different environments that are going on in the consumer trends. And as that line blurs, it's going to be important for us to continue to invest and provide solutions in that area. And then obviously the ecosystems of computers, right? I mean, pretty well everything's a computer now when you think of it. I mean, even some of the more advanced, refrigerators in some ways have a computer embedded in them as well too. Your cars are computers. Right? There's such a broad ecosystem of computers that it's important that we be able to interact on them as well too. And I think one of the best examples that we have in terms of ecosystems of computers, Xbox just celebrated its 10th anniversary, right? And I think it's 5 or 6 straight quarters, Steve, or maybe up to 2 years now that it's been the leading gaming device in the U.S. market. And just in the last 2 quarters, I believe it's the leading gaming device in the world. And so I always joke, but I'm not sure that they did this purposely, but 10 years ago, they put a piece of technology in the Xbox that did not exist in the PlayStation, which was the leading console at the time. And if you think about it, it wasn't a graphics chip, right? It wasn't that differentiated it. They actually put an Ethernet port in the back of the Xbox that didn't exist. And then if you look at what the Xbox is today, it's an entertainment device. You connect not only to play games, but to watch movies, to have live television, to do a whole variety of different things. And it was that advent of it becoming an entertainment device that actually launched it to be the #1 console in the market. And then if you look at natural interface, Connect catapulted it to be a global leader in its particular category. And it's a great example on how we're leveraging investment in these areas of technology to go ahead and deliver solutions out to the market and products out to the market that are hopefully well accepted and well adopted. When I look back at FY12, I mean, we talked about the public cloud, and as a sales leader, and I have a dual responsibility where I also lead the national cloud business. At the beginning of the year last year, I saw our cloud numbers, and I'll be honest with you, it was one of those moments where you kind of sit down and say, we're going to have to work really hard with our partners to achieve this type of success. But really, when I look back at FY12, it really was the the bigger emergence of cloud computing. I mean, we've been in it for 3 years now. We've actually been in it longer, but really in terms of through the channel for the last 3 years now, and we've had some amazing results. You know, we had over 7,100 partners transact at least one cloud sale last year, right? Just amazing. Our Office 365 business in the US, in SMB on an annualized business grew 335%. So that's 4.35 times run rate of the previous year, right? And that really kind of, I put that up there just to kind of give some examples of, you know, the market is adopting it. I think the previous speaker that said, make sure you're aware of it, build your strategies around it. The market is adopting it, and you know, we're continuing to invest in it as well, too. And then, so if you look forward, right, you know, FY13 and you know, Microsoft, our fiscal year is July 1st to June, so I know we're still in 2012, but we're already using the nomenclature. It really, you know, I'm like a kid in a candy store, right? I mean, you know, we've launched server now, and we're just about on the cusp of launching many, many new technologies into the market, and it's really a new day and a new opportunity, but we think it's even bigger than that. We think it's an opportunity to be part of a new era. Right? We really do think that the investments that we made, even in the downturn, are going to potentially have big impact on our end customers and our partners out there as well, too. And we really want to focus on a couple of them today. And so if you look at if you look at where we're changing. So remember, it wasn't too long ago that it was a PC on every desktop, right? Remember that? You know, probably 7 years ago, 8 years ago, that's the slide we'd have up here. Our vision today is a continuous cloud service for every person, every device, and every business, right? And that doesn't mean we're stopping investing in software. It means we're recognizing that the power of the cloud in combination with software can present great solutions out to the market as well, too. And when I talk about our biggest launch year, and when I'm talking to this audience, the channel, this slide actually scares me. Right? Because I should be up here saying, hey, you know, look at all the great technology, you know. We acquired Skype and it's now in the market. Nokia launched the Lumina 900. You know, we optimized and evolved SkyDrive, where it's both a personal and enterprise solution. We launched Server 2012. You know, we launched SQL 2012 last year. We launched System Center in Q4 last year. We launched Server 12. We're just about, you know, a couple weeks away from Windows 8 being in market. You know, we've got Modern Office coming in the balance of the year. Matter of fact, we just yesterday announced RTM of our latest version of Modern Office as well, too, that's going to be on the price list effective December 1st. But at the same time, all this technology coming to market is a challenge for us. Because how do you focus? Or where do you focus? Or where do you make your bets? Right? And I think that's why it's really important now for us to be having a dialogue to understand, with all this technology coming into the market, you know, what is the core of your business? What's your business plan? Where are your growth areas? And how do we partner together to be successful together as well, too? I don't think it's because of lack of potential solutions in the market. I think our opportunity is not being crisp on what our business plans and our business strategies are together to move forward. And so really, really looking forward to hearing your input and your feedback on that as well, too. And then if you look at it, I know consumerization of IT is something that, you know, scares some people, because in some ways you think of, you know, end users kind of doing things themselves. We have a little bit of a different view there. So yeah, we have to have great Windows-based devices that people love, right? We have to have great phones that people love in terms of the devices that they use. We have to have the best productivity experience in the way they want to, whether it's on-premise or in the cloud. You know, but I think one of the differences that Microsoft offers that's really exciting, especially with the launch of Server 2012 and especially with the oncoming of Windows 8, is it doesn't mean that enterprises don't have to secure and manage their environment, right? You know, and I think one of the things that Windows 8 provides is no compromise, right? You have the ability to have secure managed environments in the way that they know without having to do a lot of specialized stuff because it's the growth of Windows. And we recognize that and we push that in the market as well, too. And the other piece of consumerization of IT is, you know, for those of you that are developers at heart or who have a developer in your organization, apps are a great opportunity, even for our partner channel out there as well, too. Because there's not only the Windows marketplace, there's also Office 365 marketplaces, Office marketplaces, a ton of opportunity to maybe leverage some of the IP that you're creating and look at the broad marketplaces that are available from Microsoft to actually have a business model around it as well, too. So a lot of different ways to look at consumerization of IT. Yes, we have to recognize that devices are coming into the workplace, but we have to be responsive in making sure that we're addressing them, even on competitive platforms. You'll notice under the security and management support flexible work styles, there's an Android and an iOS or an Apple logo there as well too. We've actually evolved our security and management capabilities, specifically our management capabilities, to be able to support deploying applications, to Android and iOS devices as well too. If you look at the best productivity experience, right, OneNote and Link work on the Android and iOS platform. Right? And so we recognize that consumerization IT means we have to change a little bit as a company, and we have. And I will continue to listen and learn in those areas as well too. I think what we wanted to do today is not have me stay up here and talk the whole time. I mean, we're just on the Windows 8 is to be commercialized October 26th. Love the fact that it was already being used up here earlier today. I actually have Steve Deming with me today, and so we're really actually going to get into the user experience. So Steve's actually going to walk us through a full experience relative to both Windows 8 and Modern Office, so you can actually see some of the tech. If you haven't seen the technology, you'll be able to see some of the technology. If you have, hopefully we'll show you a couple of new things today. And it really is important because, like I mentioned before, October 26th is our commercialization date of Windows 8. I know the preview's been out for a while. Hopefully a lot of you have tried it. But we've also announced RTM of Modern Office today as well too. So those on volume licensing will actually be able to access it in the middle of November, and it'll be on the price list December 1st as well too. But when you think about Windows 8, the one message that we want to leave is it really unifies the experience, right? Regardless of whether it's on the phone, whether it's on a tablet, whether it's on a PC, even extending kind of that user interface to the Xbox as well too, that real common interface. And that's important for two things. What consumerization IT tells us that people like to be familiar with the same thing, right? So the ability to interact in a similar environment across multiple devices is really important. And for the dev community, it's really important as well too, because one thing that we think that we can offer that's differentiated is the ability to develop in Windows. You may be developing for a tablet, but it's going to work on the mobile device and it's going to work on the PC as well too. And we think, obviously, the more apps that we have out there, the more apps in our ecosystem is really going to unify that experience for the broad communities out there as well too. And then the other piece that we want to talk about a little bit before we actually show it is the Microsoft's productivity vision, right? We want the best productivity experience across devices, and I think you've seen it, right? We just announced as part of our RTM release yesterday that for those that are buying the Windows 8 RT devices in the future, it'll come with what they call Office RT, which is a version of Office that actually goes on the device as well too. Unifying that experience, bringing it together, best experience across devices, and we want the cloud to be on your terms. I think we mentioned it before. Microsoft offers private cloud solutions. We offer hybrid solutions and we offer public cloud solutions. In each one of those cases, there's going to be a fit for the end customers. And we want to make sure that we're providing technology and people into the market that support any one of those three options when you're looking at productivity solutions into the market as well too. And obviously, we're going to continue to build on our core of messaging, voice and video, content management, enterprise social, and BI or reporting and analytics, and really make sure that we're integrating the best of breed as well too. And then make sure, one of the other things, the interesting thing about Office 365, one of the questions that I always ask is, hey, what's our number one attached to Office 365? It's not Intune, it's not CRMOL, it's not another cloud service, it's actually server, right? Because every time you implement Office 365, there's an opportunity to go in and harden the infrastructure, ready the infrastructure, or what's great about we just announced RTM of Server 2012 Essentials. Same thing, if you're a member of MSDN or TechNet, you can download the bits today. It'll actually be available on November 1st. But it gives you that great opportunity to go in and maybe update, upgrade, or provide a new solution into an end customer so they can do their traditional stuff like file print and serve, that you can protect their data through manageability and security of the server. You have those great web interfaces in terms of the remote desktop solutions that you may want to apply, especially if you're potentially managing it on their behalf. But most importantly, you're simplifying it to the cloud. Server Essentials 2012 the engineering groups have worked together so you can set your customer up so it links seamlessly to our public cloud, i.e. Office 365 or Intune and the like as well too. So really a great opportunity. And I think it's a thing that gets missed a lot that, when we sell Office 365, one of the number one attach potential for us is actually Windows Server. It's not another cloud service. Now, as the previous speaker mentioned, there's many other cloud services of many other vendors in the market that can attach as well too, but from a Microsoft perspective, there's a great opportunity in terms of the services that you provide to your end users when the public cloud gets sold as well too. So instead of continuing on with that, we thought that would be a better thing to actually show instead of tell. So I'm going to introduce Steve. He's our Senior Partner Solutions Advisor for Microsoft, and he's going to walk you through a great visualization of Windows 8 and the new modern Office.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Neal. And good morning, everybody. As mentioned, Steve Deming with Microsoft. I've been with the company for just a little over 11 years. And my job is to help partners like you understand where our technology is today, where it's going in the future, and how to better engage with Microsoft. So if you've got questions, I encourage you to visit me. I'll be at the booth pretty much for the entire time the Expo Center will be open. Come visit. I'd love to talk with you. I'd love to answer some of the questions that you have. As Neal mentioned, our goal here is to really give you a better idea of what's going on with the experience of Windows 8. And I just want you to understand that I'm not running the new Surface, so I apologize, don't have access to the new Surface yet. This is a Windows 7 machine. This is a Samsung Series 7 machine. It's a great little machine. I like it a lot. But what I want to do is I want to make sure that you understand what the experience is like using this device. And so we're going to, and Neal loves this part, I'm actually going to just shut down. We're going to get out of the presentation. I'm no longer connected. I just want you to see what the overall experience is like with these technologies. And so the first thing I'm going to do is, of course, I'm going to turn it on. I'm connected to the projector and all of that, so we should get most of the experience here. But it is much faster. I mean, that's the first thing that I noticed about the Windows 8 experience is that from the time that you turn the machine on, and you've got to actually push the power button to turn the machine on, from the time that you turn the machine on to the time where you have an opportunity to start logging in is a significantly faster experience than it has been in previous versions of Windows. Yes, this is a solid-state device. That certainly does help with the overall performance. And it is, so at this point, I'm at my login screen. I'm going to go ahead and just do a swipe up. I'm using the visual login capabilities, so I'm going to go ahead and just do my swipes to log in. And at this point, I'm logging into the system. Now, from a consumer point of view, whoops, and of course, the screen that I'm getting is not the screen that you're seeing. I apologize. I'm looking at the wrong, or you're seeing the wrong screen. So let me switch it so that we can both look at the same screen at the same time. The demo hell is what we like to refer to this, for those of you not familiar with this process. There we go. So apologize for that. So yes, he does actually use this product. So this is what our login screen, or rather, this is what the home screen looks like. Now, the first thing that I hear from a lot of partners and customers alike is that you've changed Windows, and I don't like the new change. How am I going to get back to the old stuff? How am I going to make it look the way it used to look? And okay, I appreciate the feedback. However, I want to turn that question around, and I want to ask all of you, What did you experience before? You had a start menu and you had a desktop. I'm pretty sure those were the two major areas that you worked in. And what I'm going to focus on is the fact that you're looking at a start menu now and you're looking at a desktop. The fact that we've got these two areas is the same experience that you've had all along. I spend 90+% of my day on the desktop. I mean, we all do. That's where we spend all of our time working. And when I need my start menu, I can bring up my start menu like I always did. Now, here's what's different. Is the start menu is definitely bigger than it used to be. The start menu used to be a multi-tiered, cascaded menuing system that was started for most of us in the lower left-hand corner, and we'd go off and find our applications. Yes, we still have we still have a start menu, but it looks different. And the reason it looks different is because we learned that it's not always a good thing to stay exactly the same. Our Windows Phone, when we launched our Windows Phone 7, one of the things that we learned is that people appreciated being able to see what their applications had to offer before they went into their applications. We referred to that on the phone as the Smart Tile interface, and we brought the Smart Tile interface over to our Windows 8 platform. Why? Because, as Neal was talking about earlier, people like to see the same things in multiple places. I'm just going to give you a quick little side story. As Neal was describing, how technology's changed. I've got a TomTom that I've been using for, 7 years. I love it. It keeps me going where I need to go. And what I just noticed about, maybe this is about 3 months, maybe 4 months ago, is that I was trying to do a pinch on my TomTom when I wanted to zoom out. And the TomTom doesn't support pinch. In other words, the fact that it's an electronic device, I immediately assumed it worked like all my other electronic devices. I've gotten so used to that pinch and zoom capability that I'm disappointed that some of my technology doesn't offer it. So the fact that Windows 8 shares the same start screen as my Windows Phone actually helps me. And I'm going to take it one step further. I love the existence of live tiles. I love the fact that I can see what's going on before I start an application. So yes, we certainly have a lot of applications and they're arranged in groups, but I can go and see information. I can see that, I live in Rockville, Maryland, for those of you who don't know, and it's apparently 61 degrees. I don't need to see anything more than that. That's the little bit of information. Yes, if I click on that particular live tile, I can go in and get additional information. It's going to give me more details about what the weather is. I can certainly go over and get other information, other demographic information regarding the weather in the Rockville area. And yes, I can certainly go to other places if I want to see weather in other locations. So I know that we're in a conference center and we never get to go outside and actually see what's going on outside. It's warmer in Maryland than it is here. What's up with that? Bottom line is, this is certainly information that I have access to at my fingertips, but I didn't actually need to go into the application to see that information. My mail shows me my mail before I go in. My calendar shows me my calendar before I go in. I can get other forms of other information. So there's some financial information. If I want to bring that up, I can bring that up early on. Again, I can see it before I go into it. If I'm looking for news, pictures, friends, all of those things are available to me before I go into the application, which in many cases alleviates the need to go into the application at all. Now, that's a great starting point, but a lot of you are going to say, but what about all the applications that I've been running for years? Those applications still work the same, and as I said, I spend 90% of my day or rather I should say on my desktop. My desktop still has my applications. A lot of you are going to point out, but Steve, the start menu isn't there anymore. The little start icon isn't there. Well, now, I can't think of a keyboard that doesn't have the start on the keyboard itself, the Windows key. I know that all of our tablets have the little start. And frankly speaking, if you're using a touch device like I'm using up here, I can always swipe and get the start and bring it up that way. Point is, there are many ways to get to that start. Doesn't have to be in one location. But if you are using a device with a mouse, all you need to do is go to the lower left corner and the start menu will appear, or rather the start screen icon will appear, and it'll take you to this full screen, this full tiled interface. So it's still there, We've optimized the use of screen space by making it vanish when you don't need it, so it's not always sitting there using real estate, but at the same time, it's still available, it's still accessible whenever you need to use whenever you need to get to start. But you spend most of your time in the applications. So we've got applications, and I mean, the traditional office applications, of course, like Word, they still work just like they always did. Is Word a great touch experience, though? And honestly, no, Word 2010, not the best touch experience. It wasn't designed as much for touch as we need it to be. Now, the good thing is we did move to the tab ribbon interface, and that tab ribbon interface is actually pretty good when it comes to needing to touch things and leverage the touch interface. It does work reasonably well, but I love the fact that just because I'm on a touch device doesn't mean I can't bring in a mouse. I can add a mouse to this environment. So when I need accuracy, I can bring in my mouse and get my accuracy. As a matter of fact, I love this Samsung, don't get me wrong, but my favorite Windows 8 experience was an HP TouchSmart, in which it was both the keyboard and the touch screen. It had one of the pivot screens. The advantage was I didn't use it as a touch device solely, I used it as a laptop. I used major gestures when I wanted to move around by touching on the screen, and then as soon as I got to the application that I wanted to work in, I was using the little eraser mouse, or I was using my mouse along the side, I was using my keyboard. The fact that I could, and I just did that, it was seamless, it was just instinctive. I switched from one mode to the other. Honestly, I believe that that's one of the refreshes in technology that we're going to see, is that we're going to be selling a lot more of these multimodal devices that can do a little bit of both. Yes, I can certainly do it here with the Samsung 7. I can add a keyboard, I can add a mouse. Having it integrated all in one, I think, is going to be a significantly better experience for everyone involved. Nevertheless, I want to make sure that you understood that yes, we can still use those classic technologies. I can, of course, also use our new technologies. So if I want to go off and use the new PowerPoint, the new Office experience is also available for us here as well. Same platform, same technology. You've seen all of these applications working. Now, why do we have this whole new application environment? Why did Microsoft decide that we wanted to create these new apps as well as support the traditional desktop apps? Weren't the traditional desktop apps enough? And they're good, don't get me wrong, but the traditional desktop apps are not necessarily great consuming technologies. They're great for producing information, but what about the consuming side? What about the purely touch environment? We wanted to make sure that we could address both of those marketplaces with the same technology, but really the applications need to be designed accordingly. You don't just take Word and make everything bigger. You really need to look at it differently if you're going to have a consuming-based application versus a production-based application. The challenge: we wanted to keep the production side, we wanted to keep the consumer side, we wanted to do it all in the same device. Our decision: we're going to offer the opportunity to create applications in the new interface, in our new Windows 8 interface. So we've got the ability to create applications in the new Windows 8 interface. We've, of course, got the ability to create applications still on the desktop. You don't have to choose. You can use both, and you can use both on the same device. Let's take that one step further. We're going to share that exact same technology, the new interface, the new application interface. We're going to share that with our WinRT devices so that an application that you develop for the Intel AMD platform could also work on a WinRT device. It's also going to be supported by our Windows Phone 8 devices. In other words, the same touch type experience, the same new interface type experience available across all of those platforms. So those of you who do development understand that we've got a great new world for you to develop in that doesn't have one target platform, but technically 3 target platforms available to you: touch-only devices, phone-only devices, and of course the full productive desktop device, but the same application can work in all spaces. So if your corporate client needs to deploy multiple types of devices for different types of users within the organization, we can support all of those modalities with the same deployment infrastructure, with the same set of technologies. We've got a solution that covers all of that. So I consider that to be a really strong message. I want to go ahead and just finish up a little bit more in the demonstration here. A couple of things that you should also be aware of. we have added an aspect of contextuality to the overall Windows environment. In other words, Windows has, one of the things that made Office strong was that we took a common interface and we put it on the word processor and the spreadsheet and the presentation components within that Office family. So once you picked up a skill in one product, you could move it over to another product just as easily. We realized that that needed to be raised up a level. That once you picked up a skill in the Windows environment, wouldn't it be great if that skill could be used over and over again? So for example, if I want to go search for something, I don't have to understand necessarily how to search for something in an individual application. I choose this contextual search, and it actually is going to let me search across all of the applications and all of the technologies that are on my Windows 8 device. So if I'm looking for an artist or if I'm looking for a piece of software, it doesn't matter what I'm looking for. Literally, I use the same search for all of those components. So if I'm just going to go ahead and type in one of my favorite demos is just to go into Paint. I type in Paint, and sure enough, I'm going to come up with the Paint as the program, but honestly, there are other things that might have come up. If there was a settings for Paint, it would have shown up in this section. So there are other things that would have appeared as far as leveraging that overall. Now, as you saw, I was flipping through, and I went down here to the Microsoft Marketplace, and the idea is that I did a search in one area, and then I started the app after the search, and notice the results. The Marketplace has already searched for Paint and given me back my Paint results. In other words, because this contextuality of search is now integrated throughout the product, you literally do something and then figure out where you wanted to do it, not the other way around. I didn't have to start the Marketplace and do a search for Paint and then start something else and search again and search again and search again. I started my search and it didn't give me the results I was looking for, so I went somewhere else and the search was still there. That's just on its own, that's a huge time saver. As you start embracing the fact that it's searching, but it's searching done at a different level. It's searching done in a completely different approach. You'll find that that's a very exciting component. And yes, at this point I could download and install a Paint program accordingly, not the purpose of the demonstration, but I just wanted to give you an idea of that's one of what we call the charms. And you can't see it on the screen, but I'm swiping over from the right-hand edge to bring up my charms. If you're using a mouse, you just go into the upper right-hand corner and drag down, and the charms will automatically appear for you. And there's several other charms that you see there. I obviously went to the search. We've got our devices charms. We've got our settings charms. The settings automatically are contextual. So in other words, if I go to the settings now, I'm looking at the settings associated with the start screen, the start environment. But if I go to my desktop and I do that same settings, I'm going to be looking at the settings associated with my desktop. Now some of you may ask, Steve, you're in PowerPoint. Why didn't it give you the settings for PowerPoint? Because PowerPoint is a classic desktop application, and desktop applications do not understand that contextualization, that aspect of the search. That's one of the new application capabilities. So we support the classic apps, we also support this contextual component that goes across all of these. So I'm going to just head back here to the start. Just want to finish this up. Just want to make sure that you also understand that if you want to make changes to your start, the changes that you make to the start, very visual as far as the changes are concerned. If I just want to move an individual tile around, I literally just drag the tile and I can move it within its group. I can move it over to other groups. I can even create a group in between. So rearranging tiles is a very easy, very fluid process. If I want to change my groups, I'm going to use a classic pinch and condense motion. So I just pinch there with two hands, or rather two fingers, and when I did that pinch, I can now take an individual group and I can rearrange the groups and put them in a different order if I so desire, if I have an interest in rearranging those, and as soon as I'm done, I re-expand and I'm back out to where I was. So very easy to make those types of changes. Some of you may say, well, what about the other applications on your system? How do I add applications that aren't there? I swipe up from the bottom. I swipe up from the bottom, and I get my all apps, and I can select from my all apps. And I can then choose any of these applications that are installed on my system and put them into my start, or they're all here. This is just the field of apps, if that's what you're looking for. Obviously, when you're looking at the field of apps, this field, they're not live tiles at this point. They're just the applications themselves. As soon as you select something and you go back to your start, that's when, if it is available, if it does have the live tile capability, it will automatically offer that. You can, of course, turn off the live tile, the automation, if you want, but honestly, I'm not a believer in that. I think that it's the thing that we've been trying to add to Windows. Wow. I'm going to say maybe back as far as Windows 95, where we tried to make the active desktop. Maybe even before that. We've been trying to bring information so that it's always available. You remember gadgets and all that. It was all about bringing information to you. The live tiles, I think we finally hit upon it. Like I said, we hit upon it with the Windows Phone, and I believe it carries forward. And for those of you who will get a chance to attend my server breakout on Sunday, I'm a firm believer that live tiles should be on servers as well. And I know that there are server administrators in here that I just made your blood curl. Common user interface on my server? What are you talking about? I want my menus. You can still get that on your servers. But honestly, think about the live tile concept. A tile that could expose a piece of information that you could then dig into if you wanted to dig in more details. So you mean a live tile that maybe changed from green to red, telling you that something was wrong, maybe told you in one sentence or less what was wrong, and when you tapped on it, it took you right into that area of your management environment where you could resolve that particular issue? I think live tiles live for servers. So that's just my opinion. So I've spent a lot of time with Windows 8. I know that Neal wants me to also make sure that we cover just a little bit of the new Office, and there are two aspects of the new Office that I want to cover. I know that Neal did mention that we've got Link and OneNote that are available for the WinRT environment, for this touch environment. These are preview apps right now, but the reason I wanted to bring this up is because this is where we're pushing our technology. This is where we want to go with this technology. Not available across all of our products yet, but OneNote is a great example. That here I am. I've got and I can sit here and take additional notes if I need to now. And yes, I should really be using my real keyboard, but I'm not. Is the time, etc. I was on a plane flying out here, and I found that I didn't need to break out a keyboard to get my work done. I did break out my mouse. I did use the touch keyboard on the tablet, but I'm a big guy. I don't fit in coach seats really well, and I definitely do not fit in coach seats with a clamshell laptop, because that laptop lid is right about there, and especially if the person in front of me has just leaned back, it's right about there for me, and I can't see a thing. And so I do the, have many of you heard it referred to as the T-Rex motion, where you tip the laptop and rotate it up, and now your arms are like this, and you're doing all your typing? It's the T-Rex. Well, so that's how I had to work in the past. No more. I had my tablet out. It was there on the tray. I could tip it up when I wanted to see it differently. I had my mouse when I wanted to have the accuracy of movement. But the point was, this was just a great productive environment for me. Now, in this environment, I've got some text here, and I'm just going to go ahead and highlight some of that text. And one of the things that I'm intrigued by is the new ways that we've thought about how the user interface should look. I'm used to, when I'm in Word and Excel and PowerPoint, that we brought up the little mini toolbar, that I use the ribbon and the tools that are up there on the ribbon. I love this new toolbar that's associated with the OneNote experience, because this is a touch-based experience. I touched once to bring this up, and from this, I'm able to go ahead and say, well, I'd like to change, I'd like this to be bold. And so I'm going to go ahead and boldface it. Maybe I want to change the font size itself. So I choose the font size, and I get a font size spinner. And now I get to spin the font size to the size that I want it to be. And let's go ahead and try changing the color. And so now I've got a color chooser, and I'd like to choose from the greens. And so maybe we'll try a light green. No, that doesn't show up well at all. We better go with the dark green. Point is, this is a touch interface. And I love the fact that Microsoft definitely thinking, okay, what works best in a touch experience for that interface? So when we start looking at applications that are written for the touch environment, we're going to see that type of innovation and that type of presentation brought into those environments. But we want to take that one step further. I want to just go over to one of the traditional office applications. And in a traditional office application, I think we've done a little PowerPoint. Let's go ahead and bring up a little Word. And some of you may notice there's something happening on my, you probably can't see it, apologize. I've got actually two versions of Word running. I've got my Word 2010 and my Word 2013 running at the same time. Point is that we've got, so we can deal with our applications in all of these environments. But we also have the opportunity, we also have the opportunity to make sure that we're using these in an appropriate way. So, for instance, when I'm looking at my interface here, one of the things that I can request to turn on is I can put in an icon. If I know that I'm using a touch device, I can add an icon to my little menu at the top, which is called the touch mode icon. And this allows me to shift in and out of touch mode with a single touch. So if I need extra desk space, I can turn off touch mode, but when I need to be able to work with my big fat finger, I can turn on touch mode, and you may have noticed it automatically expands things. It just makes things a little bit more roomy for using that touch experience. Excellent. Thinking about the technology. It's the same application, it's in the same environment, but there are going to be multiple ways that I use it. When I was on the plane, I wanted to be able to use my finger. When I'm sitting at my desk, I want to be able to use my arc mouse. And I want to be able to leverage as much of the screen as I can in that environment. And that's part of what that gives me. So I know I'm running out of time because I've talked quite a bit here, and I know that we've got some more interviews that we want to talk to. So we will be doing some more Office. There will be an Office kiosk at our booth. We want to make sure that you come by and take a look at the new Office. I just want to wrap things up and say, you know, I've been talking a lot about this whole consumerization. What have we done for businesses? Well, aside from the fact that we run all the applications and we can do all the things that you expect as a business user of these applications, so just to make sure that you're aware of what other things we're doing for business. How many of you work with customers who are in a regulated or an industry where compliance is a requirement? And pretty much everybody should raise their hands, because I don't care if you're selling to academia, if you're selling to government, if you're selling to military, if you're selling to legal, if you're selling to a financial industry, you're in a compliance-based world. And you should be aware that obviously we've had BitLocker as an option if you went with Windows 7 and added the software assurance, or if you went with the Windows Intune, you could get a hold of BitLocker. For those of you not aware, I just want to make sure you're all aware, we've pushed BitLocker down into the Pro SKU. So anybody who is buying Windows 8 Pro now has access to BitLocker and BitLocker to Go. So you've got that compliance capability to offer to all of your customers out of the box day one. If you need to go further, certainly look and go further, but I'm just saying you've got it there and it's now available to you, and it should be part of your pitch. And you go, well, wait a second, Steve, I used to use BitLocker as my pitch to get people to go to software assurance. What am I going to use now to help them go to software assurance? Well, we've got some enterprise capabilities that were in Windows 7, they're still in Windows 8, but we've added some. And one of the favored technologies for that is this. Now, for those of you who can't see it, it's just a USB stick. It's not just a USB stick. It's definitely one of two types of USB sticks that support our new Windows to Go. This is the same desktop that I'm running here. If my machine had failed, if my machine had been lost, if anything had gone wrong in my traveling here, I would have borrowed somebody's Windows Vista quality, Windows 7 quality, or heaven forbid, you've already got a Windows 8 machine, Windows 8 quality machine, plugged this in, and been able to do my entire presentation off of this Windows to Go. Everything I need is either here or out there in the cloud, and it literally lets me connect to all of that. This is a Windows 8 enterprise capability, but this is huge because this gives me my productivity desktop without me having to carry my entire machine around. So now when I go on a vacation with my wife and she tells me, Steve, you are not taking a computer with you, don't tell her. Anyway, so Neal, I want to go ahead and hand this back to you, and I will get your presentation back here in just a moment.
You know, in a limited amount of time, there's only so much we can show. So I really do encourage you to come see us at our booth. We'll have both Windows 8 and Office running there, and we can go into a lot more detail on it as well, too. So, you know, it's great that we're up here talking, you know, from a Microsoft perspective, but, you know, we always love to have the voice of the partner as well, too. So I'd like to welcome up on the stage Vince Tenorello from Anchor Network Solutions out of Denver. And we're just going to do kind of a little bit of a Q&A that probably talks about some things that maybe you're thinking about as well, too. So, Vince, welcome. Got my little cheat sheet.
I could have brought mine up.
You could have. You know, we obviously showed a lot of different things that's going to, you know, potentially impact the SMB infrastructure, right? So when you think of the ideal SMB infrastructure, you know, today and as you look forward, what are some of your thoughts around it?
Well, when we get new customers, often I always say that they're a train wreck, right? And I'm sure many of you are in the same boat. We find different flavors of computers, operating systems, outdated hardware infrastructure. So our first challenge really is to try and get people, quiet the noise, settle down the network, and we want to standardize people. You know, that lowers our support costs. And so, you know, the infrastructure for us of the future is going to be a Windows 7 or 8 desktop, Office 2000 or 2013, and then a Windows Server 2012 infrastructure, whether it be Essentials or Standard Server, and then, you know, maybe wrapping Office 365 around that, and really standardizing.
Okay. I mean, let's dive into a little bit about Windows 8. I mean, there's a lot of buzz around Windows 8. You know, we're going to spend a lot of marketing on Windows 8, and it's really going to be out there. But when you talk about the SMB customer, what's the 1, 2, 3 things that you think are going to be most important to them relative to Windows 8?
Well, SMB customers, as I think everyone in this room can attest to, they hate change. And we still, the reality is we've got a lot of Windows XP users out there still, tons. And with XP supports expiring next summer, there's going to be impetus for change. You know, candidly, we found a lot of our customers haven't upgraded yet. We subscribe to making upgrades at hardware refresh times, what makes the most sense for an SMB customer. And we've had a lot of clients who haven't upgraded yet because their hardware, maybe it was economics, their hardware was running fine, operating systems, they keep getting better. So at this point, though, it's time for change, it's time for upgrade. We all know the benefits of it. So we're going to be encouraging our customers this year to budget. I always encourage our clients that you got to start budgeting. Got to start budgeting a few machines a year. I never want anyone to be in a position where they've got to replace all their machines at once. And one of my concerns, though, right now for our small business clients is there's a lot of legacy applications. We've got a client that runs a DOS application, and they have 100 XP machines. And so we're encouraging our clients to get their line of business apps up to date, to start thinking change now, and to be prepared for it. I have to say, though, the Charms. I'm really looking forward to our staff having to explain to 800 users about Charms. I think the change is going to be interesting for them, and the impetus is going to be on us to settle things down and make sure they understand the benefits of updating their technology moving forward.
Okay. I mean, the blogosphere is lit up. You know, when we made the announcement that Small Business Server 2011 would be the last version, and the next generation essentially would be Server Essentials, Windows 2012 Server Essentials, what was your reaction?
I didn't understand that. I didn't understand why people panicked. There's no need to panic. And if you've been basing your business on a product, that's the first mistake. You know, we're a service-based industry. We're a service-based business. Our customers, and a majority of every one of them has an SBS server, they don't even have a clue that they have it. It's just the tool to run their business. So for us, we didn't miss a beat. Things change. We evolve over time. And we've already been selling Small Business Server Essentials 2011 successfully with Office 365. So we didn't miss a beat, and it's just moving on to the next thing. And it's going to benefit the customer in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of bridging into that, there's, a lot of buzz around cloud computing, right? I mean, we see in the previous presenter, 77% of customers have now adopted cloud computing. What are your thoughts when you try and lead a customer versus a cloud decision versus an on-premise decision?
if you always make the decision with the customer's best interest in mind, you're golden, is always my deal. And at first, I would say that I panicked personally of, so much rage and buzz over cloud, but the reality is it's a hybrid market. And I don't think that we've gotten there yet with a complete cloud solution. So we're doing a lot of, we believe, an on-premise small file server like an Essentials, file and print, line of business app. There's a lot of line of business applications out there that still require an on-premise box. And then we'll wrap, we love an Office 365 product around that, and we love cloud backup around that. So I guess my thoughts are, my message are, just because somebody says you have to do it and the research says this, I've been challenging people of, really, have you talked to any of my customers? and don't try and ram it into the solution of, hey, I got to put everything in the cloud because we say so, somebody says so. Some of my customers have come to us and said, yeah, I want to do everything in the cloud now. Okay, well, why is that? Well, I was at a conference and my buddy's doing it, so I think I should do it too. And then we start laying it out there and we look at the benefits. And I tell my customers, and I believe this, at some point we'll get there, but right now I don't think we are. I think a hybrid model is what is where we are right now for the next few years. And I think Bob Godgard said that too.
So when, but you started implementing, Office 365 with your customers, right? I mean, tell me about maybe the 2 or 3 things that you really think make a difference in small, medium business that do tip you to kind of lead with the cloud.
Office 365's had a pretty big impact. And for us at first, I wasn't sure how we would make money with it, which is, I think, important to everybody in this room. And I wanted to, we want to make money with it, but we want to make sure that it's the right fit for the customer. And as we've deployed it, at first, I need to back up. We switched our model from a per device to a per user model. And when you do that, you don't stress anymore about having a server to support or worrying about servers and how you're going to make money. So everything we do is on a per user basis, and it's easy from a financial standpoint for us to talk to customers and say, hey, whether your server's on-premise or in the cloud, doesn't matter to us. We support users. Once we started implementing Office 365, the other thing that caught me off guard was, okay, how am I going to make money selling this? Am I going to mark it up $1, $2? And then it got consumerized so fast that we said, the heck with it. We sell Office 365 with the power of Microsoft, a 99.7% uptime guarantee. Customers, we've actually used it to our advantage, the fact that we don't stress about billing. I like that the billing goes direct from Microsoft. Our customers have responded with a understanding that I'm recommending it because it's the best product out there, not because I'm trying to sell them extra stuff. So we've been really successful with it. The project revenue has just gone off the chart. We've got one right after another. And then it's lowering our support costs. So it's lowering our support costs, but we haven't lost any money. What we're selling to customers is an enterprise solution fit for small business. I always tell customers, my job to give you big business technology, small business budget. And once they start to see what Lync can do, what SharePoint can do, and Office 365 with Exchange can do, they love it. Now, one of the challenges we're facing, and it's all about education, is dealing with customers who have been used to getting email for free, essentially, let's call it free, on their Exchange server in-house, of why all of a sudden 20 users, hey, why do I have to pay $160 a month for email? That's our struggle right now, is educating the customers on the benefits of doing so, but we're getting there.
Okay, great. I mean, we're running out of time, so we should probably wrap up, but I want to say a big Vince. Thanks for joining us up on stage. So a couple of things that we just want to highlight before we wrap up is, for those of you not aware, we've actually launched a new small business competency. So once again, listening to our channel, going to get certified on our enterprise technology that didn't really apply to the small and medium business segment wasn't good for you. So we've launched a new small business competency. And so if you're not aware of it, please come and see us and we'll be glad to talk to you about it, or just go to Microsoft.com and look about it. But it's very much focused on your business and getting certified for your business and being able to have the competency certifications in your business as well too. And I'll just wrap with, we've got a couple of great offers in market, both relative to the cloud and on-premise in terms of Cloud Easy and Big Easy. They're in market through the end of the December 31st this quarter. So let's take advantage. Hopefully you can take advantage of some of the technology you saw and present some great solutions to your customers as well. And Harry, with that, I'd love to thank you for having us here today.
Thank you very much, Sire. Appreciate your help and conversation. And I'll have you know, I passed that Cloud Essentials exam, so there. I love that stuff. I put it on Facebook. You still get excited about that stuff. All right, here's the deal. We have a couple of lectures coming up. We're now moving inward to our core lecture format. So I'm presenting the first Pocket MBA lecture on what is more business strategy and conversations. Double check your guide. And then Honora is presenting the Windows 8 panel. If you don't know Honora, it's a real treat. He's just flown in for the day. We're lucky to get him. He runs the Windows 8 update site that has a server melting 750,000 uniques a month. I mean, that's some traffic in this segment, let me tell you guys. So he's hit really big with the Windows 8 conversation. So he's over in Miranda 1, 2. I'd encourage you to get to know Honora and his panel. Tony Bradley from PC World, another treat for us. And if that doesn't meet your needs, you can come see old me over in Miranda 3-4 with the Pocket MBA lecture. Couple minute break so we can kind of keep clipping along. That's followed by the trade show hall and lunch, which is over that way. And have a great day. We'll see you in a little while.